I want to go back to the crackhead mentality that you always talk about on Twitter that I think is so funny. Hustling like a crackhead, don't get outworked by a crackhead. Talk me just through that, those experiences, 'cause I'm sure that's from living in the projects, right?
Nah, so okay. Every time someone asks me this, yeah, I always remember um where that tweet that everyone talks about where that came from. I just, you remember from your life and you tell some stories and sometimes the story catches. But I'll never forget, my mom was walking me, we were walking to the bus stop some morning, and the crackhead came scattering by. She looked at him and she said, "Man, that guy's been out here for like 4 days, man. I ain't seen him again. He look like he ain't slept, he ain't ate, just chasing rock." And that always stuck with me. I just thought it was, it was funny. And then it wasn't until I got older and I decided to put it into a humorous format on the internet for people to enjoy. But a lot of the stuff when I talk about the crackheads and things like that, so my sense of humor has always been a little on the edge, but on top of that, I figure out how to cope with my surroundings. I live like one of my earliest memories, man. We was getting babysat by I mean, I don't know if she was just a heroin junkie or a crackhead or whatever, but I know she was because one day we went to the house after daycare or whatever, and I thought it was a squirt gun. And I picked it up and I squirted it. It turns out it was a syringe full of heroin, and I couldn't figure out. It took me for a long time to know and understand why my mom was like yelling and arguing with her like years. But then it was like, oh, wait, mom, that was heroin. Yes, that was a problem. And I mean, we were over there another time and they was all smoking crack. I mean, like, you see these things. And then we moved to another project. And in that project, wasn't getting babysat by crackers anymore. We were old enough, but now we live next to like an authentic crack dealer, like stamp of approval, everything. Like junkies coming in all hours of the night, man. And then that's just like what in the proximity. Everyone like noodles a crackhead in the projects, man. They go together, man. Just like you know somebody who went to jail, you know a crackhead, and that's kind of how it goes. But I got to just be up close and personal with them, and I decided to convert a lot of that to humor because it's you ever heard that old saying like life's a tragedy for those who feel and a comedy for those who think. I feel like that sums up my reaction to a lot of that. I looked at it and I go, okay, well, I mean, it sucks. I'm here. Let's have a joke. Let's make a laugh about it, right? Another quote that I always reference about this period of my life and where these crackhead things come from is you can either laugh a little or cry a lot. It's really hard to do both. Like authentically be sad and be happy. So you pick one. And I've always been a big believer, no matter what. I've always been a believer in kind of controlling your emotional responses. If you can do that, you're gonna keep yourself out of a lot of trouble.
It's a superpower.
Yeah.
That is where my life changed. At 12, I got hormonal, rebelled. Often felt like there wasn't a lot of love in my household. Talking about the wayward youth, I went to public schools, I went to private schools, I went to universities, colleges. I've been around, the 0.001%, and I've been around, kids from the same backgrounds as you, and going back to what you're talking about at the very earliest is, I've seen wayward youths and wayward individuals at every level of the income bracket. And there's so many factors outside of just like, your wealth or the town you grew up in. It's really so the environmental factors really run the gamut. But I think one thing that changed my life was, actually came from eating mushrooms for the first time when I was 14 years old. So I was like angry, depressed, suicidal ideations. I had this moment, first time I've ever eaten mushrooms, ate like 3.5 grams, a massive amount for a scrawny little 14-year-old boy. But I had this moment where I was like, I can choose to be happy or I can choose to be sad. It is my choice to look at life either positively or negatively.